Good afternoon, everyone. Javre sir, let's start with the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, yes, we will start our session. Good afternoon, all. Respected Principal, Professor Dr. Mrs. K.R. Joshi, ma'am, Vice Principals, all heads of the department, and dear students. It's a pleasure to have Dr. Rajopadhye, sir, here with us today for our psychology session. Psychology helps students to understand their own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, leading to improved self awareness and emotional well being. It equips students with essential tools to navigate the challenges of academic life, manage stress, and build effective communication and relationship with peers and educators, means teachers. Dr. Nagesh Rajopadhye is ex-associate director of Accenture, a global multinational IT and consulting company. He served Accenture for 17 years and was the innovation lead across India delivery centers in his last assignment. By academics, Dr. Rajopadhye has done PhD in solid state physics from University of Pune. He started his career as a senior scientist in ISRO and then moved to IT industry where he worked. Dr. Rajopadhye has published more than 25 papers in international journals and has many patents to his credit. He is currently working in the collaboration with an NGO, Parivartan Trust, on a not-for-profit social project, namely Psychology Testing for All. Under this project, he conducts psychometric assessment of students in schools and colleges, which help the students for building their careers. Today, we have the privilege of learning from Dr. Rajopadhyay's wealth of knowledge and experience, which undoubtedly bridges the gap between the psychology and real world applications. I'm sure we are all eager to delve into our psychology session and gain valuable insight from our esteemed guest. Now, I request Dr. Rajopadhye sir to start the session.
Good afternoon. And first of all, thanks for inviting me to this session. Thanks to the management of the college and the staff. Very happy to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. I would have really loved to interact with you all in person, but for the logistics reason, I think it is best that we connect through this online mode. One of the slight difficulty is that we will not be able to interact. That's fine, but I hope you will have the full attention. And I assure you, this session will be fun. So if you are tense, guys, please relax. This has nothing to do with your studies, nothing, and we will try to have a fun as much as possible. So let's begin, and I'll just share my slides. We will start with, of course, the introduction is already given to you. Okay. So correct. So I did my PhD in solid state physics, and you may be wondering what am I doing in psychology, but I'll come to that a bit later. So did my PhD in solid state physics from University of Pune. Started career as a senior scientist in ISRO. A very good introduction these days, to talk about the ex-ISRO scientist. I know because of the success of Chandrayaan. But, the time that I was working as a ISRO scientist, I think there was no much of glory around being a ISRO scientist. So, and for personal reasons, I changed over to IT, went to Hyderabad, spent a couple of years, and then finally I settled into Accenture, a multinational IT services company. uh, where I spent 17 of my tenure, 17 years. 17 years I spent, and I retired as an associate director. So just before the retirement, I had the role of innovation lead, which was a very interesting role. The role had uh, a scope or the requirement of changing the mindset of 100,000 people in India. Because in Indian IT companies, by and large, I'm talking about 8 years back. So at that time, we as an organization felt that we have good executors, and of course the India has a very prominent name in the world for being the best executor, especially in the IT world. But we also wanted to be thinkers. So we wanted to be thinkers plus executors, and to bring that change of thinking. We want everyone to innovate, we want everyone to think. The task was given to me with a small team, and we had to bring that change. So that's where, for the first time, I came across this topic called psychology. And it was very interesting. It really fascinated me. Uh, and then I was coming close to the retirement. So I was just thinking whether I can do some innovation myself that could be useful to the society. And after retirement, I can make use of that solution, innovation, and work with society. And that's exactly the package that we are going to see after some time. The psychological assessment package was developed by me, and we'll talk more about that a bit later. And then I'm working with a couple of NGOs. The Parivartan Trust is just one, but there are few more with whom I'm working to make use of that package, the psychology testing package. Okay, so let's begin. Let's begin with our title today: use of psychometry to know your mind. I really wish that I'm really missing one-to-one interaction with you all. I would have liked to know your interactions about this title. And I remember, this is the third time I am giving this session. So in my previous two sessions, which were in person, of course, when I used to ask these questions, students were very sincere. They, because this is your first week or first day, first week, first month. So I know you all are going to be very sincere. So you will say, okay. By the way, psychometry means psychology testing. Many people are not aware of that term. But then, when I asked for the reaction, students used to say, yes, yes, it is very good. We need that, and so on. My advice to them is, talk the truth. And truth is, this is a very boring title. Let me tell you that. It is a boring title. I mean, to know your mind. So I'll just try to make it better. How to be a successful person. Okay, how to make use of psychology testing for becoming a successful person. So how does it sound? Does it sound better than before? Yes. Is it good? You may say yes, because you are all sincere in this first 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I know that. But I must tell you, this is also very boring title. I mean, who wants to be a successful person? We may, but not now. Let's not talk about it, correct? We just want to enjoy the life right now, successful and all that. And wherever you go, I know, with parents, teachers, all WhatsApp university gurus, they are all talking about how to be successful in life and all that. So who wants to be there? I know this is also very boring title, so I'll give my last shot. Use of psychometry to impress your friends. And I have intentionally kept this friends word in the double quote. So you can take whatever meaning you want. It could be the special friends, or it could be to be special friends, or general friends, or whatever you want. I'm sure this must have brought a smile on your face. I would have seen that if we had on one, but I can imagine you must be smiling with this title, because this is sounding something better. And I promise you, the use of psychometry can certainly be done to impress your friends, to be a good friend, to be the best friends. I mean, we all are trying to create our own identity, especially in your age. You all are trying to create your identity. And if you go and meet someone, and then let's say you are going back, and then he or she says he is a gem person, I think there cannot be any introduction, there cannot be any identity better than he or she is a gem person. So what do we need to be that gem person? That's exactly we'll see. What do we how do we become a gem person? So for becoming that gem person and to have that identity, ideally we should have a complete mind. And this is the name of our program, the Complete Mind Program. And you can see the picture of the commandos on the left side. So the meaning is, commandos, correct? They are all rounders, physically fantastic strength. They are exceptionally sharp, very flexible. They are very tough, even from the mind. Whichever situation you put in, they will come out as a winner. They have all round kind of qualities, and that's why they are special and they are commandos. So ideally, under this program, we would like to make each of you mind commandos. Okay, so mind commandos will have the best cognitive abilities. Cognitive word, if you don't know, it is like learning. So there are multiple qualities of your mind or brain required to acquire the knowledge. So we will like to make those qualities best. We will like you to be the best emotionally intelligent person. We would like that your personality is better and there are no disorders, personality defects in your mind. And we will like your thinking process to be the most rational, balanced, and perfect. This is the definition of the Complete Mind program that I will be talking quite often in this 2 hours that we have. So let's continue on this, the complete mind or the gem person that we were talking about. So if you ask your friend, what kind of friend will you like to have? The close friend, the special friend, whatever. Usually the answers are like, would like him or her to be a smart person, the good IQ, good maturity, the presence of mind. Usually people like, the creative minds. So if you are creative, nothing like it. EQ, we already talked about the emotional intelligence. And they say that the most successful CEOs in the world today, they talk about Google, Microsoft, Apple, they are not necessarily the best IQ guys, but they are the best EQ guys. Because, and we'll talk about emotional intelligence later. So you should be able to manage the emotional situations and people very well. Nothing can be done without the self discipline. Empathy is part of EQ itself. If you ask your friends, he or she will again say that I like person who will take care of me, the caring person. Caring person means empathy, the positivity. You talk about some ideas, and you want your friend to encourage you. You want your friend to be positive about everything, optimistic about everything in the world. So if you are having all these qualities, then I would say you are a gem person. You have a complete mind, and then you can be the best friend, you can be the best brother, best sister, best student, best neighbor, son, daughter, whatever relation we are in. You will be the best, provided of course you make use of psychology testing and make your mind complete. That's how the things are. So the issue is now, how do we do that? Okay, psychology testing, but how do we do that? And again, I would have really like to ask the question, like, how many of you run marathons? 40 kilometers, 30 kilometers. Uh, I would have really liked, and usually when I conduct this session, I usually get two or three people, students who run 40, 42 kilometer, and we really clap for them, because this is not ordinary. Running 40 kilometers is not ordinary. It requires some kind of determination and all that. So I can share my experience, and I only run 10 kilometers every year, 10 kilometers marathon. So 4 years, 5 years back, when I just was about to run my first 10-kilometer marathon. At that time, I was running 2-3 kilometers. So I went to the trainer. Our society had appointed one trainer. I went to him and said that, okay, I can show you. I can run 3-4 kilometers, and let's start the schedule of how do I go to 10 kilometers. He said, wait, you are rushing up the things. There is no need to hurry so much. First and foremost, I would like to know, are there any issues with the health? Do you have any blood pressure problem, sugar? Are you able to breathe properly? Uh, you know, is there any issue with the muscle legs? All kind of things. Let's have a check first. If there are any issues, we will like to get rid of them first, and then we will start the training. We will run 3 kilometers, then after about 2 weeks 4, then 6, then 8 and 10. And that's how the training went. So friends, you all are about to start the marathon of your life, the marathon of your career. And I would also like to advise you the same thing. Let's have a check whether there are any negativities, any issues which will restrict us to run this marathon of our life. And that's why it is important that we do one check about our mind, because this marathon cannot be successful, this marathon cannot be run if your mind is not sound. The marathon of career cannot be run, and I will prove this. At the end of the session, I have some specific data that I will show to you, that if the mind is not sound, you will not be able to either learn the things properly or do anything for your career. So it's important, and that's why this session and the psychology testing and the subject as such is very important. And how are we going to do that? So we will have this approach: measure, train, measure, improve. That means we will first measure where are we in terms of our mind. How are our shades of strengths and negativities and positivities? Everything we will measure first. We will know where are we lacking. Then we will train ourselves on those things so that we can improve on that, and we'll measure it again just to see whether we have improved or not. If required, we'll train it again, and this is the process by which we will go on improving. For example, we talked about EQ, the emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. Basically, we will measure it. And there are four aspects of emotional intelligence, if you know about it. We should be able to identify our own emotions. We should be able to recognize and control our emotions. At the same time, we should also be able to recognize the emotions of the person in front of us, the others, and manage the emotional situation. That's how it is required. Now we will come to know where are we lagging. Maybe we are good at understanding our own emotions, but we may not be good at recognizing with others' emotions. So we may have to train ourselves on that. That is how the approach is going to be. Okay, so now let's be ready for the assessment that we are going to start, and I'll give that instruction first, and then only you start. We still have 5 minutes, guys. So the first and foremost, this is a psychological assessment. So it is a self-report assessment, and no psychological assessment will be successful if you do not give honest answers. Okay, so this is like a mirror. If you, whatever you are going to project in front of your mirror, you will see that picture. And let me talk about the second point. In fact, I should have talked about it first, that the results of this test and whatever responses you are going to get whatever responses you are going to give to the test, and the results, the outcome of the test, which will be shared with you, they will be shared with only you and you. They will not be shared with the college. I'm telling you, we have your staff members here, but I'm just telling you so that you are assured that the results will really be confidential. This data is very sensitive data. We will keep it confidential. So, not to worry on that aspect. Be frank. You have to only give the honest answers, then only you will get the real picture of you. That's why I was telling you, many times people try to give the answers which are socially acceptable. We call in the psychology socially acceptable. So I will always try to project myself as a very good person. I'm a very nice person, but we know we ourselves who we are. But giving the psychology test is standing in front of a mirror. So give your honest answers. The psychological assessment will give you your real picture, which is essential for you to know. Because unless you know, you will not be able to correct and improve on that. And you need not worry, this is a computerized solution, so no one has access to what responses you give, because this is all like questions, and you have to give yes no multiple choice kind of a questions, and it will create the response, it will create analyze your responses, and it will finally send you the report of who you are, what you are. But that report will only be between you and the computer, and no one else will come to know about it. So be honest in answering all the questions. That's the point I'm trying to make it. This will not have any impact on your ranks, marks, grades. These questions have nothing to do with the studies. So those questions, if you look at, they are all about you, and this has no relation with your marks. This is only going to help you in the career. For example, there are some questions about, say, how do you interact with the society. Let's say you are a extremely anxious person about interacting with the society. Obviously, this is a quality, I would say not quality, but this one aspect will hold you back in your career. All important meetings, you will be thinking about whether I should talk or not talk. You may have some question which is a valid question, but you will hesitate to ask the question in the meeting, because of that, all that anxiety around whether people will call me stupid or whatever. So this is where it is just a beginning. You are just at the beginning of your career, and that's why it is important that we should know what you are. And then we will have a session late after the assessment. We will have 45 minutes of session, and I will tell you about each and every aspect, the information that you are going to get through this report. There is one more thing that I must be telling you. So I work with Parivartan Trust, and this is an NGO which has a very good ethics. They are in this field since decades. So as I mentioned you already, the results will not be shared with anyone. Absolutely, it's a computerized solution. So you and computer, nobody else there. However, if you need any help from the counselor to improve on certain criteria later on, we may have to share the results with the counselor, but that also we will not do unless and until you allow us to do that. So you have to give the consent, and then only we will share your results with the counselor, who may speak to you and probably advise you on certain things. But this is all optional. This is all only if you want, and this is all if you give the consent. So that's one point, that you will have one question around that, and you can respond to that question accordingly. If you say no, your information will not go anywhere. uh, Test is in English and Marathi. So this is how we made it simpler for you. Decide which language you are comfortable with, and after you read one question, when you go to the next question, you can directly go to your language. So you don't have to read both the languages. There is no need for that. You can do that, but no need for that. So if you decide Marathi, read the first question. Second question, directly go on Marathi translation part, so that you can quickly finish this test. So no hurry, we will have enough time to complete the test, and then after the test is done, we will talk again on what will you expect out of this test, and how to improve on that and all that. Now, regarding the instruction to take the link, because it's a Google form, so you have to go to the YouTube description, and there is a test. Sorry, there is a link that is given over there which you can use for giving the test. That is one instruction. Secondly, if you still face the difficulties, you can reach out to your class teacher, uh, through WhatsApp, and probably they will help you to do the take the test and take the link. But I don't see any issues on that. It's a simple, straightforward link that make you can make use of. uh, Again, I'm emphasizing that give the honest answers so that you get to know who you are, how you are, and then we will talk about how to improve on each and every aspects later. So I will. This is now we are close to 5 o'clock, and I will. We will give you at least 35 minutes. Maybe after 35 minutes, also, we will check once, and then we will maybe if required we will wait for you to complete the test. You can send your messages to your uh, class teacher if you have not completed the test, and we will wait for that, and then we will talk about the outcome of the test, and what you will expect, and so on. So this is how it is now. I will just put this uh, slide here for the people who are going to see this YouTube video later on, for them to know that after this point, for the next 45 minutes, the assessment will be done by you all, and then we will have our post assessment session around 5:45. 5:40 to 5:45, maybe 5:35. I will check once. If you all have completed, we'll start right away. So maybe 5:30, 5:35, we will start the session. So good luck, and hope to see you after some time. Thank you. Okay, so I think we can get started in 2 minutes. Uh, do you just want to check the JFMs, especially whether anyone not completed yet and want more time? And my request to students is also that they should just send a message to their class teacher if they need more time. Otherwise, we are going to start in 2 minutes. Okay, we'll get started in just a minute or two. I'm just reading some messages uh, on the completion of the test by students. Okay, so I think we get started. I'll go to next slide and we just fine. So those who have not completed yet, my request to them is to complete. If they are just about to finish in 2 minutes, maybe they can just conclude on their assessment and come back to this session. Uh, you will get reports in, I have said next 5 6 days, but in fact, you will get the reports today itself, today evening. And this is an automated solution, so I could have always arranged to give you the instant report as soon as you complete, but wanted you to focus on this remaining session, and that's why you will get the report in next few hours. So my suggestion to you is not to discuss your reports with the other friends. So that's another thing that happens. If you all are together, uh, you all get the reports. Then it's just like our marks or mark sheets. Then immediately the next question is, what is your report? What is my report? I really don't want you to do that, because this is a slightly different domain. Psychology is a personal affair, so you should not be discussing your outcomes of your assessment with the other friends, and at the same time you should not be asking your friends about their reports, because let's give some space to each of us to manage our mind and psychology. The second thing is, and we'll talk about how the reports are going to look like. I have the dummy copy of the report here. I'll show you that, and there you'll get some information about some of the disorders like internet addiction, anxiety, and social anxiety, and so on. So if you are found to have some symptoms, my request to you and my advice to you is not to be panic, because all said and done, this is not a medical diagnosis, guys. This is an online test. It is a well validated tests, because the tests are not mine. They are the gold standard, world standard tests. They have been validated on millions of people. So it is just checking the presence of certain symptoms with you, and based on your answer, the analysis will tell you whether you have mild symptoms or moderate symptoms or whatever. But if there are any symptoms, as I mentioned, this is not a medical diagnosis, so you will be advised to consult someone to get an assurance or confirmation of those symptoms, because it's only doctor who can confirm anything about the psychological disorders. Secondly, you need to, after you get the reports, and we'll talk further on that, you need to use web resources like YouTube and all that. There is also a free helpline given to all of you. You can make use of that. This is basically by the Parivartan Trust, the counselor team, and feel free to call them and discuss your difficulties, questions, and anything that you would like to discuss. The one more point that I want to share with you is that when you are going to get the reports, just make sure that you know your junk folder. Check once with the junk folder. Many times, this mail, the report mail, goes to the junk folder, and people later on write to us that we did not get the report. So before writing back to us, if you do not get the report, uh, just check once on your spam or junk folder once, and then you write back to us. We will act on it. And the other point is, usually this is what it happens, especially when the session is online. Many of your friends, they will be taking the test today, tomorrow. Those who could not attend the session, I'm sure they will go and click on the test and take it. If you are going to talk to your friends and about the test and all that, just make sure that they listen to the pre-briefing that we had. We had 30 minutes of pre-briefing before you gave the test, and that is extremely important, because unless they have the context, unless they listen to all the important messages about how honest they should be, why they should be honest, what is this test all about, why it is useful, unless they go through all that background, they will not get the good results from their test. So if you share your experience of giving the test or something, do insist for listening to that pre-briefing session before giving the test, and we will also draft the message on the WhatsApp group if that is a need. Okay, so continuing on the, I would like to show you the report, and for that, I will have to stop the sharing for a while and again share it with the PDF document. I'm doing that. Uh, yes, this is how it is. So I hope you are able to see the screen. Yes, it is coming. So this is how the test report will look like. You have the name. This is the dummy report, and if you can see that, you can see these are the terms used for mentioning your symptoms: no disorder, mild, moderate, and severe. So moderate means medium. Okay. So no disorder means nothing to worry. Mild, okay, don't worry too much about it, because sometimes the interpretation of the questions, your mood on a given day, it can, it's like 19-20 जो हम बोलते हैं. So mild is fine. You can give the test again later on. You can use the same link again. Maybe after you feel comfortable, calm and quiet, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you can give the test again. That is the action for the mild. But if it is moderate or severe, then I would say, based on my experience, so far we have taken this test for 5,000 students. So my experience says that if it is showing the moderate or severe symptoms to you, then you should not take it lightly. There is no need to be panic. but at the same time you should not be taking it lightly also. Okay, so what are you going to know about? This is the first thing that you will know about internet addiction. You will get to know whether you have mild symptoms of internet addiction, moderate, or severe. In this report, it is moderate. Now, the point I want to emphasize here is, again, the word internet addiction is used very liberally. Sometimes, we say I'm addicted to internet. But when I'm saying psychological test is telling you that you have moderate symptoms of addiction, that means, in essence, it is a psychological disorder that is present in your brain in terms of cyber addiction or internet addiction. And we intentionally said that this is the use of internet other than your studies. So what happens when the internet addiction happens, or when there are internet addiction symptoms with us? That means there are some changes in the way the brain is functioning. And you all know what happens when, we must have heard about the alcoholic addiction and all that. So same, the process that happens inside the brain for any addiction, whether it is that kind of addiction or internet addiction, the functionality, the process is same. And what is that process? Because you have used internet for entertainment for a very long time and consistently for days and months and years, what happens is, when you use the internet for entertainment, there is a dopamine shot that your brain gets it. And when you consistently make use of internet for such an entertainment, your brain is habitual to these dopamine shots. And when you don't make use of the internet, it will ask you, I want that, I want that. And it will probably insist on making use of internet. It will make you go to the internet and use it again. So in the whole process, you will see that your mind has become slave. And that's exactly what we don't want, because you are in the stage of where you are learning, and you need your full time on the task that is given by the college, that is asked to you as a part of your curriculum and so on. So your mind is not your own mind when it is addicted to something. It could be internet addiction, it could be tobacco addiction, or whatever. Your mind is not your own mind, and that's why you should not be taking it lightly. The internet addiction is so much these days. I can tell you roughly 30% of the students are victim of the internet addiction, and this is something that the world is caught unaware. Most of the things that came on us, just like corona, a few years back, unexpectedly, we were not prepared for that. Similarly, internet addiction also, we are not prepared. I mean, we have not been taught anywhere how to deal with this. And that's why we, our parents, everyone around us is becoming a kind of victim to this addiction, internet addiction. And we will have to find out the ways to come out of it. Two things I will quickly mention and go forward, because your college has scheduled another session on internet addiction later on after this session, so where we are going to see it in detail. But the two things, and I listened to Dr. Young, who invented this internet addiction for the world. So when I listened to her YouTube video, she told two things, and it's always interesting to listen from someone who has invented it. So she said two things, just like our diet. Okay, what do we do in the diet when we want to reduce our weight? First of all, we eat less food. That means we do the diet. And second thing, whatever we eat nutritious food. Same way, for internet addiction, you have to reduce the time of the screen, reduce the time of the internet, especially for the entertainment. And whatever you will make use of the internet, I know you cannot avoid it these days. You have to make use of it for the nutritious purpose, means for the knowledge purpose. Maybe you can see some spiritual talks. Maybe you can uh, get some information about the latest technologies. You can make use of it for the brain training kind of, there are tools available for the brain training, and we will talk about that later. So those kind of things, which is not going to give you that infotainment dopamine shot, because that is dangerous. If you make use of internet for the nutritious purpose, absolutely no reason to worry, no risk of addiction. So that's one. Let's move further, because we will be visiting this topic again in the next session. uh, Next is depression, and this is like a, again, a monster. We all are scared of this word called depression. However, again, if the symptoms are moderate or severe, I would strongly recommend you to talk to a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever you can. And I know these days, the cost of even consulting these guys is very expensive, and many times people don't consult, psychologists, because the cost is prohibitive. But in that case, I can recommend you to go to the government hospitals like Sassoon Hospital in Pune. They have excellent team of senior psychiatrists, and there are hundreds of students, who have gone through this assessment. They were observed to have some symptoms of depression. They could not afford it. We advised them. They went to Sassoon Hospital, and they got excellent advice from the senior psychiatrist over there, because they are all experienced people, so they will attend to you sincerely. And even the medicines and consulting charges are absolutely zero. Okay, so few suggestions. And many times we observe that, you know despite of we telling that dial this number, take the help, students don't do that. And I'm aware of that because of the stigma around taking the consultation and taking the help of psychiatrist and counselor. I will sincerely request you, friends, not to worry about this at all. And you should, if you need help, you please take the help. Don't be shy of that, because same thing, if we have cough and cold, it is just like having cough and cold. Anybody can have it. There is nothing to be shy about. So if you have cough and cold, you need to go to the doctor. Otherwise, the cough and cold will turn into the bronchitis. Same way, if there are moderate, mild, whatever depression symptoms they are there, you should consult a doctor or a psychologist and take the help of getting out of it. And it is possible, 100% possible, to come out of it. You need to create a kind of a ecosystem, support system around you. So the counselors will tell you about that. Many times, and especially in your age, the depression and anxiety, which we are going to talk about later, both are because of the incorrect way of thinking. I'm telling you again, both at the age of the adolescent age that you are in, depression and anxiety many times are because of the incorrect way of thinking. There are many issues, self-image, just to give an example. At this age, you are, because of the changes that happen within you, physical, psychological, hormonal, all the changes, because of that, you are excessively worried about how do I look like. Am I looking fat? Am I looking something weird? And all that, you're worried so much about it, that sometimes that leads to depression. So that's again incorrect way of thinking. You all know about Lata Mangeshkar. You all know about Abdul Kalam. These are the personalities we admire, and they are appreciated and admired because of their work. So we need to change our outlook, and that's why I'm talking about the incorrect way of thinking. And we have, fortunately, friends, we have the special session on how should you be thinking correctly. That is called as rational thinking. And if you get some time later, go to YouTube, search on REBT, Rational Emotive Behavioral Thinking Therapy. So REBT is a very powerful tool. It will help you correct your thought process. It will help you, identify, first of all, what is the incorrect way of thinking that you are doing. Many times, I can tell you, I'll give you an example about, next is anyway anxiety, so I can give you example of anxiety. So many times in anxiety, people, do the what is called as a bhayaniki current, usko bolte hai. People will exaggerate the thing. So if I have exam tomorrow and I'm not well prepared, I may think, oh, I'm not prepared. How do I do? I'm sure I'm going to fail tomorrow. And then it will go further. The thought process will go further. Then how will my parents react to it, and how will I respond to them? I have no face to literally stand in front of them and explain why I failed in exam, and how my friends are going to look at me. They will probably isolate me, and then I'll go on thinking further. Okay, if I fail and lose the year, then probably I will not get campus recruitment, and my life is useless, worthless. You see, the whole issue is just about tomorrow's exam, which is just one paper, and it is not that the sky has fallen. uh, Agreed, you are not well prepared, you still have time of 8 to 9 hours. Why not you make use of that and give your best, rather than sinking yourself so much down, that you have already painted the picture of you coming on the road and there is no job and nobody's looking at you, and this is not required. And that's why I'm talking about the incorrect way of thinking. So that is sinking you a lot, and that needs to be prevented. So there is a tactics and therapies to prevent such thoughts, which is called as automated negative thoughts. So one negative thought leads to another thought. Depression and anxiety are many times because of these automated negative thoughts, and we need to observe our thoughts and correct that. So you can make use of these videos. I know you sometimes you are shy to call helpline or something. That's why we brought the psychiatrist to your doorstep. Just click on this video and the psychiatrist will talk to you about what are the best ways to handle the depression. And there is another video on the anxiety. And mind you, when I say anxiety, this anxiety is not the general word anxiety that we talk about. I mean, in general, anxiety is good. What happens is, because of anxiety, we perform. Let's say I have a presentation. Okay, I'm worried that I will probably not be able to give my best. So because of that, I over prepare. I will okay. I will think about this question maybe asked. So I will go and search the answer and be ready about it. So more the anxiety, usually more is the preparation. So there is a graph of anxiety on x-axis and performance on the y-axis, and the graph goes like more is the anxiety, more is the performance, but it will only go to a certain point, and after that point, as the anxiety goes further, the performance will start coming down. So it's like a you know the U kind of a curve. So so the point from where it starts coming down, that is a point. Till that, the anxiety is healthy, and after that point, the anxiety is unhealthy. That means it is a beginning of a psychological disorder called as anxiety. So it is no more the generic anxiety word that we talk about, but it is a psychological disorder that we are talking about. So if those are the symptoms, if your symptoms are telling that you are in that zone, you know that you you have the anxiety, and because you will do the more anxiety, your performance will go down. So this needs to be corrected, because you will always have situations which will give you the anxiety, and we don't want your performance to get suppressed. And that's why you will need the help of some psychologist to come out of this zone and get into the healthy zone. This is exactly done by the psychiatrist. They will talk to you, they will ask you hundreds of questions, and but there are some best practices also. Depending on what severity you have the anxiety, the advices will be given to you, and you can definitely come out of it. And again, as I mentioned, many times that is also because of the incorrect way of thinking. uh, Another example I can just take about the anxiety part is also about the career that you all have in front of you. And we did this survey. I think there is also a question in the assessment, that if you think you have the anxiety, what is it for, and why is that anxiety? And most of the time we got the answers like, I am worried about my career, which is understood and well appreciated, well acknowledged. We understand you all are concerned about your career, but probably that excess anxiety, is suppressing you from performing well. So we need to sort out that, and we will have to really think about, is there any better way of learning better? And that's why we will talk about the cognitive abilities also in the next lecture. How can we improve on our cognitive ability? And I will show you one interesting slide to explain you how do we learn. We all need to understand how our brain functions when you are learning physics, chemistry, electronics, telecommunication. How do you really learn that? We need to understand that, and can we improve that process? So let's address even those points also. Uh, Next is the social anxiety, and this is something I was talking about. Why, all these, depression, anxiety, these are all important topics. They will help you in career, because unless you come out of them, you will not be able to run the marathon of your career. Remind you of that example I was talking about. Unless your mind is sound, you will not be able to run this marathon. So we need to correct each and every area which needs correction. If you have the symptoms of moderate or severe social anxiety or social phobia, uh, the underlying reason of that is again the incorrect thinking, probably, because scientists have done a lot of research on social anxiety, and they found that social anxiety is because of underlying fear that, am I looking stupid in front of audience, in front of people, in front of my friends? So that is a fear. So mind you that being introvert is a preference. Being introvert should not be confused with social anxiety. If I don't like to go out, that's my preference. So I'm introvert. That means I will have my energy when I'm alone. I will study myself, and everything will be fine. That's a preference. But social anxiety means those students or those people will have the fear of going to the society, to the get-togethers, because they are always fear that, are they looking stupid? Are people going to criticize them? Are people going to laugh at them? Now that needs to be corrected, and it can only be corrected through the rational way of thinking. So we will have to find out, why do you why do you have that fear? And I must tell you, 15, at least 15 students out of 100, they have this fear of looking stupid in the society. And that's why the symptoms are very simple. Symptoms are, you will have hesitation to talk to people who are at a very high level. Say you have to talk to the principal, chairman, someone. You will you will have sweating, you will have palpitation. Say you have to give a presentation in front of people, you will have sweating. Sometimes there is a shaking of hands. Usually, this is very common. The film star Amitabh Bachchan, superstar, he also says that for the first 10 seconds I feel nervous. So so giving presentation and feeling nervous is okay. But if you are having excessive symptoms like sweating, palpitation, and it goes on, it doesn't, so usually 10-15 seconds, you talk something, and then you are all right. Your that nervousness and everything goes away in the normal case. But if you have this anxiety, probably those symptoms will sustain for more time, and they will again suppress your performance. So that's why this needs a correction. You will always be hesitant to talk in the meetings, ask right questions and all that, because you are all the while worrying about, am I looking stupid? Okay, so that's social phobia, and this needs attention. Motivation to learn is a, now we so far we saw four things. Internet addiction, social anxiety and depression. These were all negative things of our mind, negative flavors. So if you have shades of those negative flavor disorders, we should be working on that with the help of psychiatrists or counselors. Take the help, and I can assure you, usually, this is a time, because again, this is the age that you are in, where all these psychological disorders get triggered. And this is statistically observed because of the changes in the hormonal system that you are in. uh, this is very common, that some psychological disorders will get triggered. If that happens with you, you need to just take somebody's help and get out of it. That's all. So the next thing is about the motive. Now we are talking about all the positive aspects of our life. Do we have them enough is what we are going to talk about. So motivation to learn is a very, very important stuff. uh, because I mean, you may have the best IQ in the world, but if you are not motivated to learn what you are supposed to learn, you will not pay attention. Nothing will go inside. uh, that's why, this is very important. I myself did a bit of research on the motivation to learn, like what triggers the motivation of learning. I mean, if somebody doesn't have the motivation, and many times, I just had similar session, with the MCOE itself, and one of the teacher asked me that what do we do to motivate students, and we sometimes find that students are not enough motivated. So the answer to that question is twofold. uh, in case of India and the students population in India, it is observed that the motivation is of the two factors. One is the value. If students do not find the enough value of what they are learning, then they will not be enough motivated. So we will have to put some efforts on making them realize what is the value of what they are learning. If they are learning engineering, we will have to probably explain them, or we will have to put some extra efforts. We as a teacher community or educational society, we will have to be creative in making sure that they realize the value of what they are learning. Once they realize the value, they will be motivated, they will be rather behind you to learn more. So that's one thing. One is value. The second important factor is the capability, the confidence of their capability, which in terms of psychology it is called as the expectancy. It is slightly again a boring word, so we'll talk about our own confidence to be capable of learning. So if for some reason, students, you also can understand this process. For some reason, if you are not feeling confident enough that you will pass through, you will exceed on the performance in terms of learning the engineering, you will feel less motivated. So believe on your capability. And probably again, we'll talk further in the sessions on how do we really improve our own capability to be confident about our capability of learning. So if you are confident about your capability, I am very sure you will have enough motivation. That's how we can improve on the motivation. The next part is positive thinking, and probably again, the time is not enough for me to dwell into each of this, but positive thinking is also extremely important. uh, i I remember the example of one of the maid that we had when I was in Hyderabad. She used to be always smiling, very happy person. And really, I can tell you, the uh, kind of atmosphere she had, kind of background she had, the future and everything, I think there were a lot of reasons for her to be unhappy actually. But I really saw her very, very happy all the time. So it is all our own thinking, and this is what we are going to learn in the next session in the rational thinking, that our emotions, our way of looking at the life and what is happening to us, situations don't make us unhappy. Our own thoughts about that situation make us unhappy. So there is a belief system that we have in between the situation and our emotions, and that belief system is extremely important. We may have a lot of incorrect belief systems, which will make us unhappy because it will trigger the incorrect thoughts in our mind, which will make us unhappy. uh, so we will talk in detail about how to be positive, how do we correct our thinking process, and everything will finally boil down to correct way of thinking. So I will strongly recommend you and remind you once again about the REBT, rational emotive behavioral thinking therapy. I'm sorry again. So once you understand how do we think rationally, and there are 10, 15 thoughts, and this has been studied over millions of people. Based on that study, it was found that human beings like you all and me and everyone around us, we make some common mistakes of thinking. Okay, I will say common mistakes of thinking. There are some thoughts which are incorrect, and we all do that commonly. For example, I would say, demanding. So we are very demanding in our thinking process, like this must happen, must and should, this must happen the way I am thinking, or my friend must behave this way with me. How can he behave, this way? He must behave like this. That must is everywhere in our mind, and we probably forget the realities of the life. I mean, whatever situation we may be in, there is a boundary that we need to draw between things which are in our control and things which are in out of our control. So if we go on insisting for things which are beyond our control, then we will always be unhappy. And that's why I'm again reminding you that you will have to learn the art of thinking rationally. uh, Talk to you further on this, because I look forward for our next session. Self-esteem. I think we are only left with 15 more minutes. So I still want to show you the process of learning, which is extremely important for you. So I'm just sharing my screen again with the slides, which will show you the process of learning. How do we really learn? So anyway, this is about the complete mind program. It is all about measuring everything, and there are number of parameters we are going to measure: the positivity, confidence, regulation, addiction. We already talked about. There are multiple intelligences: fluid intelligence, spatial intelligence. We will measure each and everything and find out where are we on that, and then we will probably improve further on that. So this is a very interesting stuff. This is a learning process. How do we learn? So this is a brain system, okay? And outside that is the motivation, uh, and the mind wellness. These are the two. This is like a filter. If they are very thick, let's say our motivation is less, if the mind wellness is not good, it is as good as you can imagine a thick filter around your brain system. So whatever teachers may try to put you inside the brain, they will try to make use of the best tools, and the audio visuals, and your parents will try to spend x amount of on your learning. Everything is fine, but that all will go into the drain if the motivation is not there, and if the mind wellness is not there. This is extremely important. That's why you should not take it lightly. You should get over your stigma and get the help if the mind is not sound and well. So this is a filter. So uh, after this filter, things will go inside. Now let's see what happens when things go inside. Then there are different processes, and these are called as cognitive processes. The word cognitive means learning. I'm just reminding you once again. So what happens is when there are systems like our eyes, our ears, we try to seek. These are sensory systems. So we listen something, we see something on the screen or whatever, or our teacher talking about it, and we get the pieces of information inside our brain. Now, when they go inside, there is a process called span. How much attention span we are making it, and then the next process is we hold that information for a while. That is called as a working memory. We hold that information maybe for a minute or second, because we are supposed to listen to the next point. So while your teacher is speaking, her first sentence or second sentence, you hold the mind, your brain, and you listen to the third and fourth, and then you try to analyze the system, and sometimes you will bring some information from your long term memory, you will bring it back, and then your problem solving skill will get into the action, and it will process the information. There is also processing speed that is involved, and you will finally digest this information and convert that into the knowledge. So you can imagine, how many processes are involved. When you learn something, this is like, I'll just show you, if you can see this. These are all the wheels. They all will go together to learn the process, and attention, long-term memory, working memory, everything will work together to finally digest the information that your teachers are giving to you, or the books are giving to you, or videos are giving to you, and it will finally go into the knowledge reservoir. Okay, that is how you will make use of it. uh, so that's why it is important that we are we pay the attention to. I will not go through all this because we don't have enough time. So it is important that we understand how do we learn, and these are also the psychological qualities and properties, and we need to measure them. So I will soon share with you the link to measure them. We all will go through that session probably in the subsequent sessions. Right now, what is important for you to understand is, if our mind is not sound, if our mind is not well, things will we will not be able to even absorb the knowledge that our teachers and the education system is trying to give us. And this is the last slide of my presentation, and it will again tell you, this is based on thousands of students. Okay, on x-axis, what I'm plotting here is the severity of the psychological disorder, and for the example we have taken here the internet addiction. And on the y-axis we have the motivation to learn, and I already explained to you that motivation to learn, look, it acts like a filter around your brain. So if it is a thick one, nothing will go inside. So the more is the addiction of the internet, you can see that your motivation is going down. That means the filter around your brain system is becoming thicker and thicker. And that's why you should not be taking anything lightly, whether it is internet addiction. We have a similar plot for the anxiety also. If there are symptoms of anxiety, and if those are severe, then the motivation to learn will go down. So whatever efforts everyone is trying to put on you, friends, they all will go in the drain. And that's why this is the subject that you should not be taking lightly, and pay full attention, and take our help. We are here to help you. Listen to those videos, dial the number. If you think you need a help, don't be shy of that. And we wish you the best. I wish you the best of luck in your career. I know this is just the beginning of your first year engineering. You will feel slightly stressed because there are so many changes that have happened in your life. See, and while I am talking to you, I am also writing some research papers on the motivation. So there one point that I want to make you aware of, that at this stage, when you are coming from 12th to first year engineering, there are 3-4 things that have changed in your life. Number one, and anything that changes has a great impact on our mind. So number one is your education system has changed. Up to 12th, there was a different system. uh, in the you were more or less like a school, junior college, where the systems was education system was different. Now the education system is different. Suddenly there is a change of atmosphere. You might have lost some of your friends to a different college, and here you are alone. So that is another change. Your friend ecosystem has changed. uh, and I already talked about the hormonal changes which are happening. There are relationships that are in the life which were not there earlier. So many changes. When they happen, we need a very strong and sound mind to cope up with that. Unfortunately, what happens is, in our brain there is a part called as a frontal cortex. Now this is a cortex which gets developed till the age of 22, 23, 25. Okay, so while these changes are happening, ideally, if that would have got developed completely by this time, none of you would have faced any psychological issue. But this is the nature. This happens for everyone. This has happened for me too. So this cortex gets developed till the age of 25, and only after that, you will have the real ability to cope up with so many changes simultaneously. Sometimes even that is also not there, and then they also need a help. But in this age particularly, there are more psychological issues because of the mismatch between the maturity of the frontal cortex and the intensity of the changes that are happening in your life. So friends, be aware of that. uh, don't get panic. We all are here to help you. We all are trying to help you. We just need to come forward and seek the help. That is the last message I would like to give, and take a pause here. We still have 6 more minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to send this to your class teacher, and probably they will type me on our Google Meet that I am also simultaneously logged in, and I'll try to answer them. So let me see if there are any questions. So there is already one question. I try to read that. Uh, yeah, so this question is exactly the point that I was talking about. That in this age particularly, and especially when you come from 12th to first year, you lose your friend circle, which has been so close to you for so long. So one of the characteristic of your age is that you are extremely close to the friends, and there is a uh, sometimes they say that there is a rebellion quality that gets developed against the parents and against also the elders. So ideally we should not be talking to you. uh, but but this is the age effect, again the hormonal effect that is there. So friends are important, there is no doubt about it. But again, I was telling you about the thinking process. Probably you are too much attached to those friends, and there is no harm in remaining attached to them. You can still be, you can still be in touch with them. No one is stopping to you talking to those friends. Feel free to talk to them. But at the same time, this is also a good opportunity for you to make new friends. Correct. So look to this as a new opportunity to make new friends. And this is slightly a different topic, but I can tell you, while you are making friends, new friends, there is no need for you to put the label as the closest friend. You can watch your friend for some time. There are what is called as the different compartments of friends. So you may have some friends. Let's say you like trekking, you go on trekking, and you will not have your usual friends with you. You will have some new friends which you make there. Fine, it's always good to, because friends are important in our life, because we learn a lot from our friends. But at the same time, you need not have every friend as a closest friend. You will always have a set of friends who are your close friends. They can be anywhere in the world, they will be close to you. So nobody is stopping to you. Don't feel isolated just because they are not physically in touch with you. They are not in the same class, same college that you are in. But you look to this as an opportunity that you have one world, and your friend is in a different world. Through him you have an opportunity to look into his world. So you are exposed to two different worlds, which is a great opportunity. And that's why I'm telling, this is also a good opportunity to make new friends, because you are going to meet new people, and who knows, they will be also the best friends. So it all depends on thinking process, number one. Secondly, this is a phase that we all are going through. I myself have three sets of friends. The friends that I had in the school time, when I was in my village. Then for the college, junior college, I went to different place. I have my own circle. They are in touch with me even today. Then I went to a college, and then I came to Pune. I was doing my MSc, PhD in University of Pune. I have that friend circle too, and still today, every day we talk. So this, you can treat this as a good opportunity to have more number of friends. That's what I would just advise you. Is there any other question? I just wait for any message that is coming. Yeah, feel free to write to your class teacher. He or she will pass on to me, and then I can answer that. Yes, there is one more. Okay, this is about the difficulty in study. That uh, you are not able to focus on the study. It gives excuses and want to avoid it. Sometimes procrastination and all that. So I would say you look forward for the report that you are going to get today. You may find some negativities around that, if there are any. Pay attention to them. For example, you have anxiety symptoms, let's say. Now anxiety symptoms will what they will always make you think around the concern that you may have. So that concern needs to be resolved. It needs to be resolved. And again, we are coming to the help from psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors. We will have to take that help to get those issues resolved. If you don't resolve them, then what happens? Your mind is constantly going to remind you about those issues. See, this process of anxiety is actually our defense system. Because something is not going well in our life, okay, brain knows that something is not going well in our life, so it is not able to interpret the severity of that problem. This is a old, if you know the brain system, uh, the core of the brain is 150,000 years old. When we were in the forest and we always had the threat on our life, so all these minor or major issues, which are more of a situational basis, say some you have some fight with your friend, a severe fight, and it has impacted you a lot. Many times at this age, there are breakups and all those things also that happen. Then what happens is our brain doesn't understand what has happened. It only understands that it interprets that as a threat to your life, and it will constantly remind you on that threat. Oh, have you resolved that? Have you found out some solution to that problem? It will constantly remind you, and that's why you will be doing overthinking about that problem. And you are not able to come out of it and concentrate on the studies. And that's why I'm saying that if there are any issues around that, we need to resolve them. And there are established ways, and that's why this whole world of psychology is there are established ways of resolving those thoughts, and resolving those concerns. So they need to be resolved. Number one, there are many possibilities. When you are not able to study, there are literally many possibilities. I don't want to really scare you, but there is also, you can see the slide here once again, the ADHD. There is a disorder called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay, and 10% of the students do have that. Now many times, people get retired, but they don't know that they had the ADHD. But if it is there, then we need to literally take some treatment for that. So that's the second possibility. The third possibility is that your attention span is not good enough. Then we need to, inhibition control, it is called as. That means, I have no control on our mind. So let's say tomorrow there is a India Pakistan cricket match, and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I have, let's say, exam. It's an important exam. If I like cricket and really like cricket a lot, I will probably, not listen to anyone's advice and straight away spend time in the cricket match and will not study. Whereas my inhibition control quality of my mind or brain, it will prevent me to watch the match. It will tell you, keep it aside. You see the highlights later on, but tomorrow is only for the exam preparation. Now, this control of this is called as the inhibition control, which is the quality of mind, and again, it can be measured, and we will try to measure that later on, with similar another package, which is especially focused on the cognitive abilities, the learning abilities. So, if your inhibition control is not good enough, then that's a third issue. So, likewise, there are n number of possibilities, but I do understand these cognitive issues are more important, and that's why, the test is being prepared, and I will see that how it reaches to you. The complete mind program that I'm talking about, makes sure that all these tests are administered to students, and you get a complete picture of your mind, and you can correct whatever is not going very well. So just to answer your question, there are n number of possibilities. We need to sort out one by one what they are, and get them corrected. I think we are close to our session. It's already 4 minutes past the 6:30, so we need to stop. I hope to see you soon. Once again, I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for giving me the time. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. But before we conclude this session, I want to tell the students that our college has appointed counselor. Okay. Uh, Thank you, sir, for insightful introduction to psychology. It's clear that psychology plays a crucial role in understanding and improving various aspects of human life, from mental health and well being to personal growth and career development. I would like to thank our principal madam, Professor Dr. Mrs. Kalyani Joshi, for her continuous encouragement and support. I also extend my sincere thanks to vice principals for for the motivation given for the co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Thanks to FE coordinator, Professor Dr. Rushali Edlabadkar madam, and all the teaching staff, because of whom this event has been made successfully. Once again, thank you all. Now we will conclude this session and on Monday, come to college on the at 9:30. The college timing will be from 9:30 to 4:30. Thank you.
Thank you.